Again, our answer to the problem of our sinfulness is to downplay God's holiness. But Scripture never does that. God demands perfection. The gospel is that he also supplies it. The gospel is that our sin was so bad that Jesus had to die to save us. Y'all, why do you think Jesus had to die? Why do you think he died exactly? A lot of people say when I ask that, like, well, he wanted to show us that he loved us. How does him dying, how does that show us that he loves us? I mean, think about it. If I come to you and I'm like, I love you so much, and you're like, prove it. I'm like, watch. And I go out and throw myself into oncoming traffic in the middle of I-40. Does that prove that I love you? It might prove my insanity. I mean, how does that show you that I love you? It only shows you that I love you if I'm doing something for you by putting myself in harm's way. Jesus' death for us was not just a statement of love. It would only be love if he were doing something for us that we desperately needed to be done. And he was dying in our place. He was dying to give us the righteousness that we could not obtain on our own. We say he wasn't just dying for us, he was dying in place of us. He was becoming our curse of sin so that we could receive his gift of righteousness. You will never understand or appreciate the resurrection until you see the grave that he lifted you out of. Until you understand the price that he paid and why he paid it. He went into your grave. The cross was your fate. His grave was your eternal destiny. And Jesus took that penalty and entered your grave and shattered it. Listen, the resurrection is not just about giving you a little religious pep in your step, a few giddy thoughts about the afterlife. Sometimes I feel like people come in here on Easter and they want me to do this religious motivational talk that makes them feel good. I want you to feel the flames of hell. Because only then can you understand how Jesus saved you. And people want me to create this moment where they have, chill bumps about the resurrection. I want to create disciples, and that begins with you understanding why Jesus saved you and starts with you understanding the grave that he pulled you out of. I was sinking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore. Very deeply stained within, sinking to rise no more. But the master of the sea heard my despairing cry. From the waters lifted me, now safe am I. Love lifted me. When nothing else could help, love lifted me. He saw that I couldn't do what I needed done, so he came and he did it for me. The gospel is that I was so bad that Jesus had to die for my sin. He was so loving that he was glad to die for my sin. The gospel declares, come you weary, weak and wounded, sick and sore. Jesus ready stands to save you, full of pity, love, and power. So here's the question. Have you ever done this personally? Have you ever looked in faith and experienced his forgiveness and his healing? Has that happened to you? Has that happened to you? Do I remember when it happened to me in my first year of college when I finally understood that he died for me? I'd known that he died for the world. I could tell you that, but it was I suddenly saw that it was for me that he died. I wanted to know how you could know for sure that you would go to heaven. And then it just finally made sense. It was in the middle of Romans chapter 4, and it finally made sense that what he'd done for me in love, that he bore my sin and took my curse. That when he got out of the grave, it was for the release of the penalty from my sin. It was like the world dropped off my shoulders and love lifted me. You feel trapped by sin this morning. Look and live. Are you fearful about what's going to happen to you in your life? Look and live. Are you frustrated at how much you try and fail and try and fail? Look and live. Because I can promise you that if Jesus went into the grave to deliver you from sin, he's going to give you whatever power is necessary to be able to live the way that he wants you to live and to soar victoriously as he wants you to soar. The choice is yours. Nobody's stopping you. You can look whenever you want. Look to Jesus. He took every ounce of punishment for you. Look at the tomb. It's empty. Look and believe and be healed. The bloody cross and the empty tomb are the greatest news in all the world. This morning, the cross is bloody. The tomb is empty. The throne is occupied. So you can look and you can live. Listen, you need to look because you're dying. You may not feel it, but like the people of Israel bitten by those vipers, every one of us, the most healthy among us, those with the greatest potential for money or success, we're dying under the curse of sin. You don't need a moral improvement. You don't need a religious booster shot. You don't need a fresh start. You need to be born again. That's why I can't get away from the word saved. I'll be honest with you. I don't like the word saved. I don't like to use it because I feel like it sounds kind of redneck to me. I get this image of this pudgy preacher in a suit that doesn't fit who's, screaming in like 6 syllables the word saved. And I'm like, I just don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy, but I can't come up with a better word. You don't need to be improved. You don't need to be tweaked. You don't need to be enhanced. Come to Jesus and get enhanced. That's not what you need. You need to be saved because you are under the curse of death. Your heart is wicked. And the gospel is not that you're not really that wicked and God's really not that holy. The gospel is that God demands perfection, but God is so loving that he supplied it to you. It's a gift if you'll look and live. Have you ever done that? What he offers is to wash away your sin and start the process of new life in you. And you, this morning, can look. Just like Charles Spurgeon did 200 years ago, you can look and you can live.